On 15 April 1941, the Communist Party of Yugoslavia, the CPY, had, after heated debates in the leadership, come out in support of an armed uprising against enemies within and without to transform Yugoslavia. They condemned the Nazi occupiers and those collaborating with them, the monarchic government's betrayal, and the deliberate fostering of chauvinism linked to ethnic hatred, arguing instead for a real independence of the Yugoslav peoples, on the basis of which a new fraternal community will be built. Tito had moved the party's underground headquarters to Belgrade, here disguising himself as a Czech businessman working for Skoda. He found accommodation 4 doors away from General Schroeder, the German commandant in Belgrade. The atmosphere in occupied Belgrade was graphically described by Gilas. Patrols during the night, darkness, and continuous shots from all over the city. The Jews with yellow ribbons, with fear and anger, hunger and death, somber faces of citizens, and young Germans, gay and arrogant, with prostitutes and cameras. Flights of airplanes toward Greece and Romania. First local newspapers at the service of the occupiers. German complacency reached a peak. They boasted openly to the local bourgeoisie in Zagreb and Belgrade that they were on their way to the Soviet Union. In April and May 1941, Tito sent urgent messages to the Comintern, Grandpa in code, via the Soviet military attaché in Belgrade, warning that the Nazi storm was about to hit the USSR. Nach Moscow was being painted on German tanks, and German generals were openly saying at dinner parties that they would enter the Soviet Union like a knife through butter. On the 31st of May, Tito sent Grandpa a message that made it clear the CPY was preparing to launch a general uprising on the day the German troops invaded Russia. Stalin, besotted with the Germans, refused to believe this information. The week after the invasion, Tito sent an urgent message. We are preparing an armed revolt against the occupiers, since our people are ready to fight. Tell us, what do you think? We are short of arms. Can we get some quickly? Back came the reply from a senior Comintern leader, Georgy Dimitrov, instructing Tito, on behalf of Stalin, ever loyal to his deal with Churchill, not to confuse liberating the country from fascism with the socialist revolution. Tito, who had worked for a short time at the Putilov factory in Petrograd and had heard Lenin speak, was puzzled. He later confided to the Yugoslav historian Vladimir Dedijer that it took him some to understand what was at stake. If we would do as Moscow wanted, we could never develop our insurrection. In our condition, this directive would signify the liquidation of the uprising even before it started. On the 6th of April, the old regime, with the king at its head, abandoned the Yugoslav people to the mercy of the conquerors, and what was left of the state's apparatus passed in the service of the occupiers. This demonstrated its fragility, abandoning the Yugoslav tradition of fighting for national independence, confirmed in 150 years by 39 revolts and 10 wars against foreign forces. In Yugoslavia, a popular revolt against the occupiers was unimaginable if it would not assure the people that they would be given a chance after the war to have a new, truly patriotic government with an administration that was firm enough not to allow Yugoslavia, in spite of her natural riches, to resist colonization by the great powers, to hold fast against ethnic oppression, and to see that the majority of the people would not live in misery. Tito survived his visits to Moscow largely because Dimitrov backed him as the person to be trusted in Yugoslavia. He kept an ultra low profile, avoiding unnecessary contacts, keeping aloof from petty intrigues. He once saw Stalin hiding behind a pillar watching the proceedings of the Comintern. Nothing more. He never met him nor asked for a meeting. The real battles came later when independent Yugoslavia and its leaders made it clear that they were not prepared to play the role of Stalin's pawn.